So they don't really come smaller than this. This is the Shark SUP Surf Pro 7.8x30. This is a small inflatable paddleboard. Full specifications of this board: 7'8" long, 30 inches wide, 4 inches thick. It's 186 litres in volume. It only weighs 6.2 kilograms when we weighed it. Comes with a 2+1 fin box setup with the Shark US foldable fin box. And the retail price is around £600, $800 or €700. This board, like all of the Shark SUPs, has an internal coil drop stitch, and it's got a machine weave fusion technology outer layer. So having a little look at the fittings of this board. Deck pad, well, it's probably the smallest deck pad we've ever seen, but it is one of the smallest iSUPs we've ever tested. Small little deck pad. It's got the Shark SUP logos all over it, which does look pretty cool, as I've said in other videos. You've got your neoprene wrapped carry handle, which is comfy, and obviously this board is so light, it's very, very easy to carry. At the back, you've got your pressure valve, you've got a leashing point at the back. At the front, you've got your bungees, you can put down stuff for carrying stuff. So the outline shape of this board is a sort of classic stubby nose board, and also finished off with the swallow tail. The rocker line of the board, the shape of the board from front to back, is pretty flat throughout with a small bit of nose rocker. Looking at the fin setup, so you've got your 2+1 fin setup, you've got mini sort of side plastic indestructible fins, and then finished off in the center, you've got the Shark SUP foldable US fin box, and finished off, it comes as standard with the Shark quick release fin system that they put in all their boards for 2019. We've been using this system for quite a few little boards, testing the race boards and the touring boards, and the fin system is actually really good, very simple to use, and it hasn't been a problem over the last 3 months which we've been testing it. So looking at the bag and pump you get, it's the same bag and pump that you get with all of the Shark SUP boards. The bag itself is actually quite a heavy duty bag, pretty heavy duty material. It hasn't got any wheels or anything like that, so it's not really an airport based bag. It's got fairly padded shoulder straps around here, but no padding around the back. It's sort of bag I would say, it sort of sits in the mid price point, which this board does do. It's not a full on extreme bag, and you wouldn't want to carry it miles, but it's easily enough to put in the back of the car and carry a short distance to the beach. The pump is absolutely fine. It's a two-way pump. It pumps on the upstroke and the downstroke, and then you can push the valve over and just pump on the downstroke when the pumping gets hard. This board pumps the board up really, really quickly because it's a very small board, and the pressure gauge goes right up to 29 psi on this pump, so you can get loads of pressure into this board. The actual recommended pressure from this board is 15 to 25 psi, so you can get a fair amount of air in this board. And when we tested it and we put it through our deflection test, we had it pumped up around the 20 psi, so it's nice to get a bit of air in this board, a real bit of pressure when we tested it and taken it on the water surfing. And for the deflection test, this board only dropped 16 millimeters. And bear in mind, this board is so short, and when we're doing our deflection on a gap of 1.5 meters apart, and you put 75 kilograms of weight in the center and you measure how much it drops, most of this board is sort of spanning that gap. So actually this board is actually a fairly stiff board, and definitely when you're surfing it, the stiffness and the flex of the board is not an issue in the slightest. So what is it like on the water? Well, it's 7.8, it's a short board. Because of that, it is a twitchy little board to paddle. You're definitely gonna be the lighter rider, or you're gonna be a SUP surfer already, because it's not the sort of board you want to learn to SUP surf on, because just the short length of it. It's very pivotal when it's sort of paddling in and out. You can get it to paddle in a straight line because of the relative big back fin, but it still wants to weave in and out. So you need a little bit of paddling technique to get this board to paddle in a straight line, but it's exactly what I'd expect for a board of this length. Popping over waves, you've got to get your body weight back a little bit, get the nose up, because it's got a fat, stubby nose on it. It does tend to punch in the white water, and there isn't very much nose rocker up there, so you're going to have to get that nose up when paddling out. But when you get out over the waves, because it's 30 wide, it's still relatively stable, even though it's only 7.8 long. Surprisingly, paddling around and catching waves, it's actually quite easy. It paddles quite well and it catches waves quite early. Probably to do with the real flatness of the board, and the parallel rails does keep the speed up, so you can catch waves fairly early. But again, you remember, you've got to have a fairly decent paddle technique to get you on those waves early. When you're surfing this board, the first thing that I noted was actually how fast it felt on the wave. In some of the video clips, you can actually see you can actually gather quite a bit of speed on a board like this. And as I just said, the parallel rails really do help the speed on a wave, and it's a very fun, quick board to surf, and because of that you can actually surf it in the steeper, faster parts of the wave, which some other iSUPs do suffer with. And also what helps the speed of this board is the flatness of the board. Because there isn't much rocker on this board, it's fairly quick. The downside to that obviously is that you are going to nosedive a little bit more, so you have to be a bit more on it with your footwork and trimming the board, but it's exactly the same as other iSUPs I've tested with a similar amount of nose rocker. They're the same riding style and what you're going to have to watch out for. The really interesting thing for us when we rode this board is the fin setup is actually really quite far forward, which I wouldn't necessarily say is the perfect place to put this fin setup, but it does make the board really quite pivotable. With very little effort you can move the tail of the board around, not really extremely in a massive carving sense, but just in small little micro turns. It's a very fun board for surf, and it does actually really put a smile on your face, and I had a few really good waves on this board. So who should be looking at this super short surf SUP from Shark SUP? Well, you're gonna be already SUP surfing. You're gonna be that intermediate level or that advanced level. Somebody that's looking to take a board on holiday, somebody that's looking to have a board in the back of the car all the times, and rider weight's probably up to about the 85. I reckon you could get away with it 85 kilos if you're used to surfing a lot. Me at 75, absolutely fine. 80 would be about right if you're a little bit more skilled. So 75, 80 kilograms is bang on. Surf size, I probably wouldn't want to take it out any higher than head high. I think maybe the board might get a little bit too fast and you probably won't be able to control it enough. So pros and cons and value for money. Pros, it's a fun little board that you're really going to enjoy, and the outline shape does make it very easy to surf and pretty lively for an iSUP. Cons, well, it's a shame there's not a kick pad at the back of the tail here, and it's a shame the deck pad isn't further back. I found I was really standing more around the valve area to get the best turning and the trimming out of the board. Bungees at the front, not really needed. You're not going to be using a board like this 7/8 long to be paddling with SUP on the front, so personally if you owned it, just take the bungees off. And looking at the fin setup, the fin it comes with isn't ideal, but you could replace that with a standard US box fin, but I personally didn't find that massively an issue. Probably what would make the board a little bit better maybe is moving the PVC mini side fins right out onto the edge to give you a bit more grip when you are riding in those faster waves. Because this board can handle those sort of faster waves, having them on a bit more on the outside would make it ride a little bit easier. And value for money, well, it is sitting at the mid price point, isn't it? It's not a super budget SUP, and it's definitely not a premium price point SUP either. I think if you shop around, you could probably find this a little bit cheaper. It's going to get a lot of people on the water, and if you get it around that £600 mark, it is value for money. Maybe upgrade the fin, and you will have a lot of fun surfing mid to shoulder high surf. So there we go. I really hope you enjoyed that SUPboard review and you found it interesting and informative, and it's helped you understand if this board is right for you. As always, go and check out SUPboarder Mag and check out SUPboarder Pro. If you're really loving SUP and you want to learn even more about it, you've got to check out SUPboarder Pro. Please take part in the reader's survey. Tell us about this board. Maybe you've seen it, ridden it, maybe you haven't. Always good to hear your feedback, and then we can feed on to the brands. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.